Welcome to Module 3. What is an academic argument? In this lecture, you will learn what defines academic arguments, some basic features of academic arguments, and the importance of the expectations that academic audiences have for arguments. When we hear the word argument, we might think of a conflict between opposing sides, like a disagreement or a fight. But in fact, arguments are not necessarily negative. The goal of an argument depends on the purpose of communication. One purpose we may think of is to persuade or convince someone to agree with a personal opinion. Arguments may have many purposes, including to present new ideas, to share current knowledge, or to gain understanding. Simply defined, an argument is a tool that helps us explain what we think and why we think it. Andrea Lunsford, an expert of argumentation in academic writing, explains that we should think about argument as a basic form of effective communication in everyday life. From her point of view, arguments are everywhere. Whenever we communicate, we are making claims about something, which means we are arguing for something. For example, if we wear a shirt with the name of our favorite sports team on it, we are arguing that our sports team is worthy of support. The shirt may claim that our team is great, but it may not give evidence for how or why the team is great. People who see us wearing a shirt like that do not need such evidence. Audiences for academic arguments, on the other hand, have different expectations. Good academic arguments can be defined by a number of required features. The most important one is a claim. The claim is the main point of the argument. Then, arguments need support, which is believable evidence that explains how the claim is true. Arguments also need reasoning. This is an explanation of how the evidence proves that the claim is true. It is sometimes called rationale. And another important feature is background, which gives context for the argument and why it matters. Andrea Lunsford and her co-authors added a few more defining characteristics of academic arguments. Specifically, they state that arguments directly state a clear point and focus on that point, use a formal documentation, citation, and writing style, and are written for a knowledgeable audience. Clearly, it is extremely important to think of the audience who expects clarity, credibility, and precision from a successful academic argument. As you know from previous modules, academic readers use critical thinking skills to question the accuracy and credibility of what a writer is trying to say. They look for reasons and evidence to be convinced of the writer's argument. They read the text critically, so they may agree or disagree with the writer. Also, academic writers want to make sure they understand how and why the argument is important. They want to learn from the argument and maybe even do more research on the topic, or do their own writing on the topic. Academic audiences generally expect the main idea of the argument to be an answer to a question or a response to a need for information that is important to others. It could be a solution to a problem or a new perspective on a controversial issue. An academic argument should always begin with a real need to explain or understand an issue that matters to the audience, and it should clearly tell the readers what the writer wants them to accept and why. In conclusion, remember that our everyday life is full of arguments. Academic arguments can have different purposes and will use different structures depending on the field of study or type of argument being made. As you continue to learn more about argument writing, keep in mind that all arguments must have a central claim, supported by evidence, with reasoning for how it is true, and background for why it matters. Finally, academic arguments can be defined by the expectations of the readers, who are critical thinkers that will question the text. Even if they agree with the claim, they will still want credibility and formally cited evidence.